All right, good morning. We're going to call the committee on parole to order this morning. Today is Tuesday, April 4th, 2023. The time is 8:10 a.m. We'll begin with our revocation case this morning before we get into regular parole hearings. My name is Cheryl Renata. I'm serving as chairman of today's parole panel. On the panel with me this morning is Mr. Loche and Mr. Freeman. We are at DOC headquarters in Baton Rouge. I'd like for staff here at to introduce himself rapidly. Whitney Trustler. Our revocation case this morning is at the Bossier Parish Maximum Security Facility. Would the staff in the room with Mr. Brown please introduce yourself for the record?
Deputy Daniel Taylor.
All right, thank you, sir. And good morning, Mr. Brown. Would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number, please.
My name is Calvin Montil Brown Jr. My DOC number is 720808.
All right, Mr. Brown, you heard the introduction, so we're here for a revocation decision this morning. Do you have a revocation questionnaire with you there today? If not, we're going to put it without it.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay, is that your signature at the bottom of that page dated February 28th of this year?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you can read and write?
Yes, ma'am.
Understand the allegations against
you? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we're going to proceed. I'm going to read the alleged violation, after which you'll enter a plea of guilty or not guilty, and then we'll have a discussion about your plea. First is you're accused of violating condition number 2, which states you are directed to report on February 14, 2023 a.m. to the Probation and Parole Office and failed to do so. You lied to your officer on February 15, 2023, claiming that you were signed a lease for an apartment at 6 a.m. On February 20th, 23, you said you were the key to the apartment that day, and would be moving in immediately. On February 22nd, 23, you stated the owner of the apartment which you signed a lease with told you can't move in the apartment because her daughter is instead of you. How do you plead to violating condition number 2?
That's not guilty.
Okay. Next is condition number 3. On December 6, 2022, failed to sleep at your stated residence and did not have permission to sleep at another address. You failed to sleep at your stated residence for the following dates: December 6, 22, January 10th, 23, February 9th, 23, February 14th, 23, February 15th, 23, and February 22, 23. On February 14th, 2023, you were given a curfew of 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. You violated the curfew on February 15th and February 22nd of 2023. You lied repeatedly to the officer about where you were living. You refused to give a valid address, making supervision impossible. How do you plead to violating condition number 3?
Not guilty.
Next is number 4, condition number 4. On February 22nd, 2023, you tested positive for THC, to smoking marijuana. How do you plead violation of number 4?
Guilty.
Condition number 7, you lied to your officer on February 15th, 2023, claiming that you were signed a lease for an apartment at 6 a.m. On February 20th, you said you were key to the apartment that day, and would be moving in immediately. On February 22nd, you stated the owner of the apartment for which you signed the lease with told you can't move into the apartment. Her daughter is instead of you. How do you plead to violating condition number 7?
Not guilty.
Okay, would you answer Mr. Freeman's questions, please?
Okay, Mr. Brown, how old are you?
I'm 28.
Okay, what's your educational level?
11th grade.
Okay, you never got your GED?
No, sir.
Okay. Mr. Brown, where were you staying?
At 3162 Shed Road, apartment 115, Bossier City, 71111 with my mom.
Why didn't you tell your probation officer? Went there to your mom several times. Your mom said you wasn't staying there, that you had an apartment.
No, my mom had put me out. When I came home June 2nd, around July through like August or September, I told my officer that my mom had put me out, so we had got into it. So I was sleeping outside and I had got a room. So after I got the room, I texted my PO and told my PO that I got put out and I was staying at a room and that I'm not, the job that I had at the time, it was paying like $145 every 2 weeks because I get a check every month. So after that, me, to get in that room, 2 weeks up, that's like $200 going down the drain. So I had left there and I texted my PO, told my PO that I was going to Shreveport to my cousin's house.
You have any of these texts with you?
Sir?
Do you have any of these text messages with you?
My phone is with my fiance.
What about the drug screen? Did you test positive for drugs?
Yes, sir, TAC.
How often were you using?
Like, not know every day, but like every 2-3 weeks.
Okay. How about your curfew? You violated your curfew?
Yes, sir. A few times. Me not being at my mom's address.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the problem is that your probation officer has to see you, and I can see where they would have problems catching up with you. What kind of work were you doing?
I working at Applebee's, sir, on airline in Bossier City.
You had plenty of time to go to the office and stuff.
Sir?
You had plenty enough time to go stop by the office and see your PO, correct?
Yes, sir.
I mean, if I was living under these conditions and knew I was about to get in trouble, I'd be going see her.
Oh, I go see her like every month.
You made a heck of an effort to find you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I never missed a day going to see her though. I was like, every month I go see her, pay her money to it and all that.
Yeah, one question. Mr. Brown, good morning.
Good morning.
I noticed that you pled not guilty to condition number 7 this morning. But at the preliminary hearing, you pled guilty. Why the difference plea?
Sir?
I noticed that you pled guilty to condition number 7 at the preliminary hearing. But you pled not guilty this morning. Why?
I feel like at the time I was like kind of distracted a little bit in my mind. But I could tell you why. Because at the time when I told my PO about the place I was gonna be staying at, it wasn't an apartment. It was a house. It was a room. I was talking to the woman at the time, and she had an extra room, and I had decided, ask her about can I rent the room out to her, and she told me yeah, and to get back at her, I had paid her $250 for the bedroom.
Brown, who makes an apartment in an apartment or a room at 6 o'clock in the morning?
Because she called me, she told me to come in, come and see her before she go to work, and she don't get off until like 9, 10 o'clock at night, and I got off at 11. So it wasn't no way I was gonna be able to go to her at that time. And I didn't have no car to get around, so I was catching the bus. So I caught the bus early that morning to get to her. And after I got to her, we talked and all that. And when I went to go see my PO, I told my people about this.
Did you get permission from your law officer to be out before curfew?
No, sir, I did not, sir.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Brown, why do you keep lying to your office, your supervising office?
I really I wasn't trying to lie to her.
Well, you've been telling the truth, is what I mean. So, why?
Ma'am,
You were not telling the truth, so why?
I wasn't trying to lie to her, ma'am. I was just, to be honest with you, I was just moving too fast, doing too much, and being home 8 months, I was just moving too fast.
Why'd your mama keep kicking you out?
Well, really, like when she say something to me, I ain't gonna say I got an attitude problem, but like when she say stuff to me and I'm trying to explain to her about things, she snaps on me, and so it's like it trigger a nerve.
Yeah, so you don't tell her the truth either. All right, do you have anything you want to say to us before we go?
Yes, if I was to be released today, is there any type of way I can sign myself up into catering and Bossier or be on house arrest for the remaining time I'm on paper?
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what the vote's going to be. Prepare to vote, Mr. Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Mr. Franklin will be voting first.
Okay, Mr. Brown, you have no trouble finding a place to stay, and I hear what you just said. But you need to work on this while you're in jail, not when you're out of jail, because you can just keep hopping around and not going to be able to locate you. I find that you violated conditions number 4 and 7. I advise you to reapply as soon as you're eligible, and I vote to revoke.
Mr. Brown, you pled guilty to violating conditions number 4 and 7 at your preliminary hearing. And I find you guilty of violating condition number 3, therefore, to revoke the supreme.
And Mr. Brown, I agree with my colleagues. My vote today is also to revoke violating conditions of this law. Today, you broke and revoked. So, Deputy, that concludes our business exposure. Max, we're going to adjourn. It's 8:22. Thanks for accommodating us today.
Yes, ma'am, no problem.
Let me revoke now.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, so it's hard to feel bad when someone just does everything wrong and ends up back in jail. He was in prison. We don't know what his sentence was for, and we don't know how much more time he's going to have to serve on that sentence. If he had a 20-year sentence, he technically have to start serving the remainder of those 20 years, but he can come back for parole. Their question is like, why can't you live at your mother's? And he starts saying, well, she gets on my nerves, and then I'm like, yeah. And it's like, grow up, man. Like, someone needs to have a stern talking with you. Like, grow up. That's what you're telling the parole board, blaming it on your mother. And I get it. Things are not easy, and but it's your ass on the line. It's your freedom. Then Miss Renata asks him, why do you keep lying to your parole officer? He had the whole story about missing curfew to go to the house and it's just like, it's your freedom on the line. And that's why I can't feel bad. You screw up like that. You screw up so bad that you get locked back up, you're going to have to suffer the consequences. You can't talk your way out of it. And it's hard to understand. But at some point, people have to realize that their actions have consequences, and you got to follow the rules. whether the rules are dumb or not, at this point, it doesn't make a difference. This is about you and your freedom. Yeah, that's my rant for the day. With that, I'll let you go.